You know, you hear about icons, superstars, worshipped by millions. But how does someone like that end up on the absolute brink of losing everything? Today, we're going to unpack the story of Amitabh Bachchan. But this isn't just about his movies. Oh no. This is a story about a massive public failure and the 90 crore rupee comeback that totally redefined his legacy. And to really get this, we have to start at rock bottom. In his own words, and just listen to this. I was bankrupt. Creditors would come to my house and abuse me. I mean, wow. It's such a raw, honest admission, and it's where we have to begin to understand the incredible mountain he had to climb. Because you see, to appreciate a fall that steep, you first have to understand just how high he flew. For well over a decade, Amitabh Bachchan wasn't just a movie star. He was basically the entire industry. He basically invented this persona of the angry young man. Now, this wasn't just some movie role. It was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Kicking off with the film Zanjeer back in 1973, he somehow tapped into the collective frustration of a whole generation in India. He became their voice on the big screen. And man, the hits just kept on coming. Throughout the 70s and into the 80s, you had Zanjeer, Diwar, Sholay, Dawn. These weren't just movies. They were cultural events. If his name was on the poster, it was a guaranteed blockbuster. They didn't call him the shahenshah of Bollywood for nothing. But you know how these stories go. That perfect world, it was all about to come crashing down. And it wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect storm of crises that hit him one after the other, chipping away at everything he'd built. First, it was a physical crisis. In '82, he had this horrific near-fatal accident on the set of Coolie that left him in a coma. The entire country was literally praying for him. Then, right after he recovers from that, a political crisis hits. In '84, his good friend Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi asks him to enter politics. By '87, though, his name gets caught up in a huge bribery scandal, and he has to resign with his reputation tarnished. And then came the final blow, a financial one. In 1996, he launches his dream company, ABCL. By 1999, it had completely collapsed. And the failure of ABCL, well, that wasn't just some business deal gone wrong. This was personal. This was a public humiliation that brought the biggest star in the country to his knees, burying him under an almost unimaginable amount of debt. 90 crore rupees. Just let that number sink in for a second. We're talking about the late 1990s here. This was a staggering, absolutely mind-boggling sum. But honestly, the number itself doesn't even begin to capture the daily hell he was living through. See, that debt wasn't just a figure on a spreadsheet. It was a daily nightmare. He had 55 different legal cases filed against him. His bank account was totally empty. People he owed money to were showing up at his front door every single day shouting at him. It got so bad that his beloved family home, Pratiksha, was about to be auctioned off. He had no movies, no cash, and it really looked like there was no way out. So, this is where the story really turns. This is the heart of the comeback. What saved him wasn't some grand business plan or a lucky break. It was a single moment of clarity that came when he was at his absolute lowest. Can you just imagine the crushing weight of it all? The lawsuits, the angry creditors, the very real fear of losing your home? He couldn't sleep. One morning, around 4 a.m., he's just sitting there alone in his office, facing the total reality of his failure. And it was in that quiet, in that darkness, that he asked himself one simple, powerful question. He didn't ask, how did this happen? Or why me? Or who's to blame? He asked, what is the best thing I can do right now? Think about that. That question completely shifted his focus away from this overwhelming past problem and onto a single, concrete step he could take in that very moment. And the answer that came back was so simple, it was brilliant. Act. He was an actor. That was his gift, his core skill, the one thing he knew how to do better than almost anyone on the planet. He realized he needed to forget about being a businessman or a politician or a superstar and just get back to the work. So what did he do? He did something that for a star of his level is almost unthinkable. First, he swallowed his immense pride. Second, he literally walked over to his neighbor's house, the legendary filmmaker Yash Chopra. And third, he humbly asked for a job. I mean, can you imagine the courage that took? The undisputed king of the industry now just asking for a chance to work. And that single, humble decision, it lit the fuse for one of the most incredible comebacks you will ever see. It was the start of a second act that nobody, and I mean nobody, in the film world saw coming. So here's what happened. Yash Chopra gave him that job, a really important role in the 2000 film Mahabharata, which put him right back in the spotlight. But at the exact same time, he took this huge risk. He agreed to host a new TV game show, Kaun Banega Crorepati. Now, back then, a major movie star doing television, it was unheard of. But that gamble paid off, big time. The show was a sensation and introduced him to a whole new generation. And here's the crucial part, the thing that speaks volumes about his character. He didn't just declare bankruptcy and walk away. No way. He took the money from his new success and, piece by piece, he paid back every single person he owed, right down to the last rupee. He cleared his name. He honored his word. So, you see, this comeback was never just about the money. It completely reforged his legacy. It built a new reputation, one based not just on his talent, but on incredible resilience and, frankly, integrity. And he didn't just get back to where he was, he soared even higher. He went on to give some of the most amazing performances of his entire career in movies like Black, Pa, and Piku. He received India's highest film award, and today, even in his 80s, he's still one of the busiest and most respected actors out there.
You've probably heard this quote before, but his life story is the perfect embodiment of it. It's such a powerful reminder that our lowest points don't have to be the end of the story. Real strength isn't about never failing, it's about how you get back up.
Well, maybe it's by proving that the real measure of a person isn't just their string of successes, but how they handle a complete and total failure. It's the comeback, the resilience that turns a star into a true, timeless legend.